In this video, we're going to take a look at the Insert Edge Loop tool in Maya 2013. It's a really handy tool to use both when you're creating hard surface or mechanical models, like vehicles or weapons or buildings. And it's also good when you're modeling organic shapes like characters. So let's take a look at how this tool works. I've got a polygon cube here that I'm just selecting, and I'm just making sure up here that my polygons menu set is selected, and that gives me access to the Edit Mesh menu, and this is where we find our Insert Edge Loop tool. So I'll open the tool settings using the little option box button just here at the end, and you'll see that that opens up here on the right hand side of the screen. So I've got a little description here. It says to create a new path of edges across a mesh, click an edge and drag. Now this is directly related to the default setting, which is just here under maintain position, relative distance from edge. So what this is doing is if I click and drag using the left mouse button on any edge on this object, it will create a new set of edges positioned where these dotted green lines are. So I can move the position of the edge loop placement anywhere along this edge. So I can go right down to the end or anywhere in between like this. So when I let go of the mouse, it creates a new set of edges. So this is resulting in the original polygons around these sides of the cube being split into two polygons. So what this is doing is adding geometry to our object, and that allows us to change the shape of the object. So if I turn the tool off and I just select this edge, for example, here, you'll notice that the tool automatically switches the object to edge mode. So basically when you click on the edges, they select like this. If I grab this edge and move it up, you can see I can create a slightly more complex shape than the original cube that I had. So this is sort of a way that we can add geometry, and the extra geometry allows us to refine or increase the detail of the object that we're building. So let's have a look at some of those other settings. I can go back up to the Edit Mesh menu, or because I've just used a tool, it's got a temporary icon just here for that tool. So I can just click over here and bring it back. So you can see there now that if I click, using the same settings, if I click here, the new resulting edge loop will actually follow the shape of the object now that I've kind of added this little peak. So you'll see this new edge, instead of just cutting straight across, it's actually following the shape of the object. Okay. Now in older versions of the software, usually this tool would only function across four-sided polygons, which meant that if you had a triangle or a polygon with more than four sides, the edge loops would, or the new edges would cut across any four-sided polygons, but would then stop when they hit a polygon with either less or more than four sides. In this version, I don't believe it actually works like that. So to kind of get a bit of an idea of whether or not that's actually going to function, what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge two vertices together like this. Now we'll be doing a video on the different merge options, so don't worry too much about what I've just done, but just keep in mind that what I've got now is on this side of the object I've got two four-sided polygons. So I've got one here and one here, and I've got two triangles now, here and here. So in older versions of the software, basically if I tried to cut through this edge just here, because I've got a triangle here, it would not cut across the triangle. So it would basically start here. Let's try it. I'll just grab the tool again. So Edit Mesh, Insert Edge Loop Tool. So if I click on this edge, because these two polygons here are four-sided, it's going to cut through like that. So the edge you click on, it looks for the opposite edge across a four-sided polygon. So there's one here and there's one here. When it gets to that edge, it cuts through. When it gets to that edge, it looks for the next opposite edge, and so on. And that's how it loops right around the object. So the issue with the older software was that with a triangle, it wouldn't know which edge was opposite, so it wouldn't cut across. It would basically just stop. Now you can see that that's happening here, like that. So when I click on this edge, it won't cut through because it doesn't know whether it should connect to this edge here or this edge here. Now, on occasion, I have found that in this version, it does cut through. And what I found it doing sometimes is it's actually just ignoring the fact that there are triangles here, and it cuts right through the object. So just keep in mind that when you're using this tool, sometimes you'll find that the edges stop like this, and they don't cut and join sort of all the way around the object and then sort of join up back where you clicked. They'll actually stop part way around, and that means you've got either a triangle or you've got you know, maybe a 5 or 6-sided polygon. Now, of course, now that I've cut an edge in like this, what that's resulted in is this triangle is actually now a 4-sided polygon. Even though technically it still looks like a triangle, the sides are actually indicated by the number of edges that are created, so or that form that polygon. So I'm just going to go back to my select tool, and we can use this to actually count the sides. So I've got one here, you can see that highlighting red, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So even though this is triangular in shape, it actually has 4 sides. I can now try cutting across this this polygon. Now I do find that there are inconsistencies with this tool as far as what it's doing. If I deselect the object like this, okay, so I just right click and go back to object mode and click in an empty spot in the grid, I can then go back into that insert edge loop tool, and that's sort of just kind of reset it. We can try cutting across some of these edges. Now you'll see here that these two edges are still selected. What happens is sometimes this tool makes the selections get stuck. So if this happens, what you do is you turn off the tool, just go back to your select tool, okay, and just right click and make sure you're in edge mode, in this case, because they're edges. Drag a box across the whole object like this, and then just deselect, and that usually unsticks that selection like that. And then you can go back to your tool and continue on. So I'll just switch the tool back on. So I want to try and cut across across this shape. Because it's a 4-sided polygon, basically I should be able to cut directly across it. So if I click here, for example, you'll notice that it's not cutting across. It's not even cutting across this one, which it should. So there are inconsistencies with the way that this tool functions. Basically, this is a 4-sided polygon, this is, and so is this, all the way around to here, and this is as well. Okay, so there's no real reason why this shouldn't have actually cut and followed the shape all the way around. So it doesn't seem to function correctly every time. If I undo that cut, just deselect those edges and we'll try another section. If I cut here, you can see that that's actually cutting around. So it's basically traveling all the way around here and then cutting through here. Now you'll notice there that it's actually rejoining back up with the edge where I clicked, and in order to do so, it's actually split a new edge in here. Now that's something that I didn't generally see happening with older versions of the software. So it's possible that this this version has been adjusted slightly to kind of perform those little extra cuts where it needs to. So basically what's happened here is we've now got 3 4-sided polygons in here. Okay, we've got one here, and one here. So what it's doing is basically it's sort of auto-correcting itself. So you can see there that that edge loop cut in with no problem, but the edge loop across this direction, across here, just wouldn't go in. I found that the older versions of the software, it used to handle that a little bit better. It didn't used to do this sort of auto correction as much, but it would definitely have cut across that other polygon without any issues. So just bear that in mind. There are some slight irregularities sometimes with this tool, or it can give you slightly unexpected results. Okay, let's have a quick look at a couple of the other settings. Whoops, I'll just turn that tool back on. The other main setting that you'll be using is this multiple edge loops value just here. Basically below here you can see we've got number of edge loops and this number. I think normally it defaults to 2 like this. And basically what this will do is it will add multiple edge loops like this. So rather than clicking and dragging along an edge to position, what this will do is automatically space multiple edge loops along the edge that you click. So in this case I added 2 edges, and you see that the edge that I clicked on along here, those edges are spaced evenly along that edge. And once again they'll follow the shape all the way around the object like this. You'll notice up here, just here, however, where they've looped around, basically it hasn't done an auto-correcting edge through here. So this has resulted in a triangle. It didn't add a little diagonal like this to kind of keep them all 4-sided. So yet again, that's one of those little sort of irregularities. So that's basically how this works. So if you set the edge number of edge loops here to 1, you can actually find the middle of a polygon by clicking on the edge. So even if I click over here like this, it's going to place that cut right down the middle of the edge, and it basically splits the polygons right down the middle. So that's actually really handy if you're trying to find the middle point of an edge, or you're trying to split polygons evenly in half, assuming of course that the polygon edges are sort of parallel to one another like this. So that's really it's a really good tool to give you an idea of sort of the equivalent an equivalent process of doing edge loops. In the channel box for a cube, let's say we've got a cube here and I need to add divisions along this edge. Okay, with the cube tool, if I've just created a cube, technically what I could do is come into the inputs and increase, that's probably going to be the depth, I would say, maybe the depth. Yep. So I could add edge, basically, in this case, these are referred to as subdivisions, but they're still just edge loops. So you can create edge loops initially on your objects like this. But basically, that's exactly the same result as taking your cube and using the Insert Edge Loop tool, setting the maintain position to multiple edge loops, and then setting this number in order to get the same number. It's 4 edge loops like this, and if I click here, it's going to give me basically the exact same result. So you can see there that there are different ways of doing things that give you the same end result. You know, the other way of doing that would be to create a polygon plane like this. So that's just a single polygon, and if I extrude this, if I select it and go to Edit Mesh, Extrude, oops, I can set the number of divisions here to 4, oops, like that, and the thickness I think needs to go up like that. So you can see there, that's also done basically a similar thing. That actually needed an extra division. So you can see the division terminologies are slightly different. They do a slightly different thing. But that basically, if I just rotate that around, you can see that that's done the exact same thing. So I've got the exact same shape 3 different ways using 3 different tools. So the Insert Edge Loop tool was definitely the quicker of those 3 methods, and that's why it comes in handy. So it's great for you know, adding little details like knuckles on fingers and you know, knee joints and things like that. So definitely give the Insert Edge Loop tool a go. It's definitely handy. It's nice and quick, but just keep in mind that on occasion it will produce results which might be a little bit unexpected. And also keep in mind that on occasion it makes the edges that it selects get stuck, so you have to kind of double check and kind of manually go through and deselect those edges if they do get stuck. So with that said, I'll leave this video here and I'll see you next time.